Hola, it's me, Trashkin.
For jungle, I'd say it's Leafeon, Venusaur, and probably like Dodrio. Glaceon is fine too. So you need to know at least one of those Pokemon. For support, it's just Blissey and Hoopa, and probably LD. I mean, Comfey is good too. So one of those 4 Pokemon. Just one is not enough now in draft. You should know at least 2 of those to like a very high level. For defender, it's Umbreon, Slowbro, Trevenant, and Snorlax. Umbreon and Slowbro, you have to know how to play them. And then for attacker, it's Inteleon is a must. A9 is probably a must. Venusaur would be good to know as well. You should learn Mew. That's important. And obviously every meta is going to shift like the top Pokemon in those roles.
Could you say the ideal top laners one more time, please?
Right now, I'd say it's Buzzwole, Zacian, Lucario, Dodrio, or Zoroark are fine as well. Lapras as well is very good top. I mean, obviously Mewtwo's actually broken too, but it's banned so far in official UCS. If you're winning top so hard to the point that like their pad's already at like 5 points left on the pad, then I think going bot is perfectly fine if you think you can hold.
Got it.
Nice. Good seal.
So they're on Slowbro, you should have stood near the farm to prevent them from pulling it their bush, because then you have to guess on the secure.
Trying to bait. They're starting from top as A9's top.
Okay. They're all top. I'm gonna ult Azu. Oh, okay.
That was bad from me.
Yeah, I was
I was trying
dead.
to push them away from you.
Oh, damn.
That was tragic.
That was not the fight.
I should have ulted instead of trying to pushing them away from you.
So this is gonna be a good one to look at the VOD. And we're gonna look at the tournament VOD too after this. This game, in the first couple minutes, we kind of lost early game, and that will happen sometimes, right? I want to say that throughout the game, you guys talked a lot and made a lot of plans about how to get back into the game, and that's really good. Don't stop doing that. I'm just going to talk about a lot of the major mistakes that caused the enemy team to be able to snowball the game and how you guys can avoid that. So here, A9 kind of trolls by going with Leafeon here, and you guys end up getting a kill here. So now you need to make a decision as the top side here, because bees are spawning, right? What ends up happening is the Zera goes to bees, the Slowbro goes to bees, so you guys have 3 at bees, and that's fine. That was good. The problem here is you want people to be covering pads. The Hoopa's not 1 HP. If you want to go to mid, the Zera needs to say it before, because the Hoopa takes a reset, and then that's when the Zera says they're going to go to mid. And because of this, the Leafeon's able to score 30 top. So this is a huge mistake, right? Now the Leafeon gets 30 top for free. Either the Hoopa needs to go mid here, or the Zera needs to communicate that he doesn't want to cover top and he wants to be the one going mid before the Hoopa takes his portal. Because clearly once the Hoopa takes the portal, it's too late to go back top, right? The Hoopa doesn't need to take this portal. It's not like they were 1 HP. So keeping in mind, like, you just have to cover for each other's like ideas and mistakes. So as soon as the Zera sees the Hoopa take that portal, he should realize, hey, the Leafeon has like 30 top. Probably shouldn't let the Leafeon score that much, right? The Hoopa can just go mid, right? Realizing something like that, or like just saying before the Hoopa resets, like, don't reset, I need you to cover top. Or the Hoopa could even realize like, hey, maybe the Zera needs to go mid, I should be the one covering top. A common theme I see that you guys struggle with the most right now is letting unnecessary scores in. And I'm gonna go over other points in the game, and you guys don't realize how bad this is. Scoring 43 points is equal to the amount of experience a Reggie will give you. So if someone scores 40 points, they're basically getting a Reggie worth of experience on themselves. It's so much experience that scoring gives you that you guys don't realize, and so a lot of these scores are avoidable that you guys can stop, that you're letting in. Again, like, this is not mechanic stuff. This can just be simple macro that you guys can fix that will make these games much easier. After this, the mistake snowball, because the Hoopa goes top after the Leafeon already scores 30. What is the point of this? I'm not trying to flame you, but it's almost like you're panicking. You're like, fuck, they're scoring 30. Like, what do I do? And you just run to Leafeon. You're not going to do anything, right? If anything, like, you're at risk of dying to Leafeon if it's a good Leafeon, while you're also not doing anything. If the Leafeon was already scoring, you should know you can't stop that. You could have helped your team with the fight here, and they probably could have picked up more experience, more kills. Just after you make a mistake, not letting it snowball into other mistakes. And the Hoopa just should have run mid after the mistake was already made where the Leafeon scored top. Because this fight, like, kind of goes in your guys' favor and you almost get a lot out of it. but not quite. And I feel like if the Hoopa was here, the Umbreon would have died. Maybe you guys can push the pad bot now and get a ton of scores in bot, right? Keeping in mind a mistake like that. I'm going to be calling out the Slowbro again. I'm sorry. Here, when they push pad really hard, you made this mistake a lot during the game. Amnesia will raise your defenses, and it has a low cooldown. And the healing lasts for 10 seconds. If you know how like the ability works, what I'm trying to say is you need to amnesia before these fights start. Like you should amnesia here as soon as you're about to take damage because it will raise your defenses. And by the time like you feel like you might need to heal, you'll have amnesia backed up again. You're like basically playing with only one move on Slowbro in a lot of these fights because you can use your amnesia to strengthen your defenses before a fight starts. And then you'll have your amnesia back to heal. So here you don't use amnesia and you kind of get like 100 ode on pad. Because you're not using amnesia the full time. Again, if you used it at 7 minutes, you would have had it backed up by now to use. And you probably would have lived this combo and used your amnesia again. There's something to keep in mind. It happened multiple times throughout the game. I'm sure other people are making like just as bad mechanical plays on their Pokemon. I just can't see it. So this is the only one I get to comment on.
No, I appreciate that. I actually didn't know about the defense buff or that I could use it proactively like that.
I highly recommend going to Unite DV and just reading the Pokemon that you guys play because you'll learn a lot about it. Like they add stuff to these Pokemon on this website that like is not even in the game description, and they give you all the numbers and the formula they use to calculate it. So this is a resource that all the pros use all the time. So it's a good idea to start looking at it. This was another example of an unnecessary score. Either of you guys, you don't have to stop farming, right? Like you can still farm, but you should farm in a way where you can cover the pad because like letting these little scores in, it's actually so bad. And you guys aren't realizing like, I'm not saying like you'll be able to stop all these kinds of scores. I just want to hammer in. This is why these games feel so hard. Like this is the biggest mistakes you guys are making are all these scores you're letting in. It's why the games feel so hard. It's not just about the point lead. It's actually giving them so much extra experience. Like again, scoring 40 points, which the Azu does in a little bit, is giving a Reggie's worth of experience to the Azu. It's just out of thin air, right? Whereas if he never got the score, that never would have happened. So just keep in mind, like these little scores, they're really making the game hard for you guys. Like the game could be a lot easier if you stop these scores. All you have to do to stop this is like while you're farming these Audinos, you stand like here, right? Like the A9 can stand here instead of right here so that they're next to pad to just simply auto attack if someone tries to do that. And you can do that while farming. The Slowbro could have done that too, where they stand more near the pad. You can even stand on pad while farming this APOM. Yes, I recognize that you're going to farm a little less efficiently when you do that, but it's worth it to stop these scores. So just keep that in mind. I just want to hammer in that's a mistake. So here, you guys all port top. And again, like if you knew you were going to go for this play ahead of time, the Leafeon could have farmed differently to pass down, but I personally don't think this is worth it. So this is like where a lot of the big mistakes happen. This top Reggie is your guys' way back in the game. This plan of like going for it to force something here is good. That's good that someone like you guys recognize that. This is your way back in the game. However, you're not recognizing enough. First off, the pad's at 10, which is really good for you guys, right? I want you guys to know that like if a team just breaks the tier 1 pad and don't score on your tier 2 pad, don't invade your jungle, you guys will be up like 2 levels on them by raid. They will be fucked. It's on the enemy team in the lead to apply pressure to take the experience from you. That's just how like the comeback mechanics of Pokemon Unit work. You have to realize that actually like a team just breaking both pads immediately is not good for them. You're gonna get 5 Audinos times 5 before the end of the game. That's like 25 Audinos for you guys to farm. More like 20 Audinos before raid. And that's like so much experience. That's literally like worth like 5 or 6 Reggies, right? Keep that in mind that if you guys just came up here, rip the top Reggie immediately, which is what your game plan should be, just everyone rip the top Reggie. It doesn't matter who gets it. If you guys get it, it's good for you. If they get it, it's good for you. You just let it in. That's what happened the last game I was talking about, where you guys were in the lead, where the Greedent ripped the top Reggie. And yes, you guys got it, but now you can't snowball because he took away the opportunity to push the Reggie in because he ripped it. And that's actually good for the enemy team to stop a snowball. So you guys could do the same exact thing the Greedent did to you the first game, where you ripped this Reggie, and I do think someone should cover bot, probably the Hoopa, to make sure like no scores come in, because once you recognize your pad's at 10, like 5 people, no one recognized that if the pad's at 10, you guys should just rip the Reggie. Then it's not like important to fight here. You guys don't have to fight. As soon as they show up, you can just back up. The Hoopa can just stay bot. You're not looking for a fight here. You should just be looking to rip it. Again, even if you don't realize that the pad's at 10, you should still rip the Reggie, because the Reggie does so much damage. It's so good for you guys. Think about how you want to fight to play out here. You clearly don't want to fight on their pad time because they have healing, right? So you can either fight over the Reggie, or if you get the Reggie before they get here to contest, now you have the Reggie, and that's actually really good to fight with because it does a lot of damage. The biggest mistake here is we're running at their path. This is so much wasted time. You could have started ripping the Reggie like 10 seconds ago, right? And so they're getting 40 bot while you guys are also briefing top. And so this is where you really lose the game, not the bot Reggie. We're just running out their paths for no reason. We do get some comeback kills, which is good, but we could have done the same thing without the Hoopa there, right? We could have stopped them from scoring 60 bot by now. This is where like the game gets really like out of control. And then, I mean, just a snowball off of this as well is when they get the top Reggie. And again, I just went over how this is an advantaged fight for them because they basically have 6 people now. Because think about it, you don't want to let the top Reggie in. So someone is already always going to be forced to be in front of the Reggie. Like you guys are going to be 45, someone's going to be forced to be in the Reggie. Everywhere else on the map, they have a numbers advantage. The Reggie is basically a person for them. So you guys are fighting a 6v5 if you try to fight right now. It's good that people are like saying, oh, we should fight. Like, let's make a plan. But you have to recognize when some plans are stupid. No flame. But this is like some fights, don't get me wrong, can work when a Reggie's pushing in, but most like 90% of the time it's probably a bad idea because again it's a 6v5. So you guys are fighting a 4v5 now because the Slowbro is going to be stuck holding this Reggie. And this is where like the snowball continues, where they kill you all and now they're going to break ball tag. So now they've scored like 150 points now that you guys could have stopped easily without improving any mechanics whatsoever. You guys don't have to be any better at the game, and you could have stopped 150 scores, which again is like 3 Reggies worth of experience on a person. So like they basically get an entire Reggie off that out of thin air, just off the points you guys are griefing by letting in. Not to mention like, yeah, just killing all of you guys as well. Now they get the bot Reggie for free, and the rest of the game is bricked from here. I do have one more thing that I wanted to comment on. At this point, you have Unites, and so we use 1 Hoop Unite the entire game. If you use your Hoop Unite at 4 minutes, you're gonna get it back without like farming at all. So you should look to use these Unites on your Unite timers. Like here, where when everyone died, the Hoopa is like just like there, you can run immediately to the top pad and Unite. Everyone can like farm, and you see all of them here. Look, if you went immediately to the top pad and United, you probably get a ton of scores in. Think about it, right? Because you saw 4 bot on your Unite timers, especially. You should think about the best way you can use your Unite, because you guys get a bunch of scores and you'll get a lot of experience from it, and it'll be a way you can get back in the game. Especially if they try to defend and they grief, you had Unites you can blow to kill them, right? You're like 5 people there. There'll probably be like 2 to 3 people. That's where you can get a lot of experience and points back. But instead, we just don't use Hoop Unite at all when there's no punishment for using it at this time. And the game was already lost before this, basically. When you're losing, there's no like right way to get back in the game. And it's good you guys had ideas. It's just you made a lot of crucial mistakes in those ideas. And you're missing a lot, of course. Any questions?
Quick question about the fight that happened at Regieleki. Should the right call be, since they either are already breaking bot, or if they've already broken bot pad, should we just have everyone jump, like stay on the top pad, and if they pressure us there, then we take a fight on our pad? Or is it just kind of a screwed moment and you just have to play like hyper conservative?
To me, the best thing to do is you can have people contesting the jungle, like maybe 1 or 2 people. So this is fine so far. What I recommend the other people doing is your tankiest Pokemon, which is usually the defender, but not always, stands on the top pad, and the other 2 stand on the jump pad. So then if they try to score ball, you can just jump immediately, and that's like the safest. Like one person can jump, the other person can still wait on the jump pad until they know which lane needs assistance, because you can literally get to the lane in a millisecond if you do that. And I mean, you don't want to let them take your jungle, so 2 people should contest and just try to get the buffs and not die. And yeah, of course, if you see like a winning fight where like they're low health, you can maybe clean up, then people can come to kill them. But if they're all full health, they all have Unites. Again, remember what I told you about snowballing? So this team did what I told you guys you could have done the first game. And so they probably have like 3 or 4 Unites. You guys have 1 Unite. Keep in mind, this is probably not a winning fight, but if it looks like a winning fight, then you can call your team over. But unless like you're like 90% sure you can win this fight, you should never fight there.
Just one question I have. That scenario that we had at the beginning of the game where like the Hoopa, like I went mid and Hoopa was top. Who should stay top in that scenario? Do I stay back Azera, or like do we have the Hoopa stay there, or does it matter?
In this specific scenario, I think it's better for the Zero to go mid, probably. But
Okay.
obviously, every game is going to be different. Like, even if you're playing the same Pokemon, the game state's going to be different, so it might depend.
How about we think about what Slash told us and then try to implement that in one final rank game?
All right.
We could do
Yeah,
that.
that works.
I think application would be a good
Yeah.
use of the advice.
And if you guys have any questions about, like, any Pokemon mechanics, feel free to tell me. I know, like, basically everything about every Pokemon, so...
So what are the things that we learned in like the last 30 minutes that we're going to bring into this game?
I think one of my biggest things is like communicating earlier, like where I'm gonna be at, so Hoopa can be at the right place, or I could be at the right place.
Staying on pad for the first big middle fight at 8. I think just stopping the small scores is where my head's at too.
Yeah, positioning so that I can farm while I can still cover the pads. And not
Yeah.
just random towards
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And don't play 2 up because you're the back line.
Going 5-man mid can be good sometimes, like very rarely. So I don't like a takeaway like that. Definitely takeaways like trying to cover pads more, stopping caps is good. If that makes sense, because every game's gonna be different. So like saying like, oh, we should always have people on pad at 8 minutes, that could actually lead you to lose some games. So just keep that in mind.
Just to clarify, so if we all have ults, let's say around 4 minutes, should we try to force a fight so we can all like extend our ults and try to get like some experience if we're falling behind?
Basically, think about it like this. Say like a Blissey, you have a Blissey on your team, right? It can unite at 4 minutes, and you have a Leafeon on your team as well that can unite at 3 minutes. You want to try to fight in a way where like you use the Bliss unite at 4 minutes without having to use the Leafeon unite. Because if you do that, you'll probably force out a lot of their unites. Say they have like a Lapras unite, right, that they use. Now when you try to fight again at 3 minutes, you can use your Leafeon unite, and now they don't have Lapras unite because you traded it for the Bliss unite at 4 minutes. Does that make sense? Whereas if you never did that, then they still have Lapras unite, and you just never used your Bliss unite. So you can definitely trade it for things that are valuable. There's sometimes where when you have a unite that can be used at 3 minutes, like Leafeon and other Pokemon, you should try to save it when you're fighting at 4 minutes. But it's all up to like what's happening in the game.
That Pokemon database that you showed us, will that have like the unite timing for all of them?
Yes, it has all of them.
Okay.
Bring it into this push. Okay, Sabo got that.
I think that's got it.
Definitely. I'm looking top.
Sorry, I keep taking them. I shouldn't be taking them.
I'm XP share, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if it's the last hit on. They changed it a couple minutes ago.
But don't you need it to evolve?
No, because it's all.
No, like, yeah, he'll evolve you guys.
We have to get value here at 720.
Yeah.
They have Hoopa on bot. They have 2 on bot.
Zero farm and Hoopa bot. Because we see a lot here.
Oh, there was an ult, the Buzzle ulted.
Yeah, he ulted me.
Oh, they had other ults over here too.
Watch out, I got a pro.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. It's my job.
They haven't started it yet.
Inteleons, they can't
Yeah, they're just baiting here.
See if I can get them out. Oh, no, I don't think so. One.
No. It's resetting. We don't need to rush this fight. Back out.
Okay.
There's a lot of farming jungle right now as well.
Yep.
They're just going to hold pad. I think we should posture for top, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to first.
Keep someone bot.
Oh, okay.
I got Guardiol.
I'm gonna hold Buzz. Okay.
Yeah,
They're about to jump.
I see the Buzzwole. I need to.
I did a bunch of damage to the I think Billy they went down.
Umbreon's so low.
Yeah, I was on the Umbreon.
Kill this Hoopa.
They're also low.
We don't need to fight their
Yep, back out, back out, back out.
burst them like that.
Oh, we gotta rip this or something, right? We gotta
Yeah,
rip something?
we got to make a call to rip. We got to rip this.
I'm one.
Inteleon's dead.
That's me.
Watch Fugardi, watch Fugardi.
Guardy can secure this.
Yeah, we have 11 seconds. We just need to secure.
Nice. Go, Gadget.
Second.
No way. That could have been it.
Good try.
I almost got my.
Dude, that is so sad. You guys might have still won though.
I got a good score top. Not a big one, but
Damn.
Oh, the Hoopa score would have won it.
I'm so sad. I was
So
on
you-
it too.
But you know what you could have done where you guys would have won at the end? You could have Hoopa portaled the A9 to increase
Yeah.
movement speed.
To move speed, yep.
So
I
Oh.
was so selfish.
You guys would have won
I
the
used it
game.
for myself. I was too selfish.
Yeah, but you didn't need it for yourself since you already
Yeah.
have fan force to dodge.
Yeah, I didn't need it.
It's okay. That was the final mistake that lost you guys the game, but obviously there were other mistakes. You guys should have won that game actually. So you definitely applied the advice really well. The one thing I will say is you kind of took it too hard, like way too much, if that makes sense. Like I pointed out mistakes where you 5-manned at like really bad times. But 5-manning in itself isn't a bad idea. You just have to find good opportunities for it. When you're losing that hard and they have both their pads up, where do you think is the best place to fight that they would go to? They have both pads up, right?
Yeah.
If you want a 5-man, where is the best place to fight that you think the enemy team would show up to?
Away from their fight, or away from their pad, probably at the objective.
No, because the objective is still near pad. Like if you try to fight them at an objective, they can just run back to their pad, right? Actually, the best place to fight is at mid Bs and in their jungle. The best place is if they try to invade your jungle, but mid Bs is a nice place to catch out. So I mean, I remember like some person said like don't take bad fights here. They were all in mid Bs. That's actually the best time to try to fight them. If you just get a numbers advantage like 5-man, when you're that behind, trading a 40 cap, like even if they score 40 bottom, if you trade it for like a 5-man fight mid where you kill a lot of them, that's worth it for you guys when you're behind. You did really good of applying my advice, but just keep in mind like every game's different. Don't always like you should try to 5-man eventually. It's like looking for the best places to 5-man, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that game, you guys like for most of the game you were playing to not lose, which is fine. Well, it's not really fine because you should play to win, right? You guys were just playing to not lose. You did a really good job. Like, you guys covered the pads so they didn't snowball, and you should have won the game eventually, but probably could have gotten back into the game sooner if you did 5-man eventually at some point. Another good thing I like that you guys did was it wasn't really intentional where you ended up stopping them from scoring bot when they Hooper United. They set 2-man bot, like the play I told you guys you should make, and we ended up having someone bot, although it was like the cover pad, which was good. The one thing I will say is I could have told you guys you're not going to win that fight at the top, Reggie. When they both teleported, what the 2 people bot could have done is you could have run to score, and that's how you get some experience and stuff. You kind of want to get cross map value when you're that far behind. Think about it of trying to create numbers advantages where like you have like 3 people to their 2 people and trying to find opportunities to do that. So obviously like 2 people to 0 people, like if they get the top Reggie and kill everyone top, it's not going to matter much because you guys will respawn, be able to cover the pad. So the 2 people bot could have run to score, and now you're getting some experience. You'll probably get the bot boost too for free. So just keep stuff like that in mind. Creating numbers advantages is the best way to win when you're behind without losing too much, right? So the 40 cap, the other game was bad because you got nothing out of it. But if you traded that 40 cap for killing like 3 people and scoring like 30 points yourself, that is worth, right? When you're behind. So just keep stuff like that in mind. Definitely a big improvement though. Like you guys didn't get all your pads broken where it was hopeless. Like you almost won the game this time when you're behind. So
Definitely. We'll
it's
keep
really
working.
nice seeing that.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of your help tonight.
absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I had a
thank you
lot
so
of
much.
fun. Yeah, hope to see you guys again as a team. It was nice meeting all of you.
It was
Yeah,
really
for
nice
sure.
to meet you too, Slash.
Thank you so much.